Right. Okay. All right. Today, Thursday, September 14th. All the markets are gapped up this morning. Everything's up across the board. Woke up and I was quite surprised. I didn't really see anything. I don't know what happened overnight. I didn't really look. I know there's a number of things coming out here at 8:30. About an hour from now, we got PPI. We have retail sales. And then what everybody was waiting for is the ECB interest rate decision, right? I mean, my God, you Bloomberg, you would think that we were over in Europe. It's like, who gives a fuck? I mean, really, I mean, like, who gives, I mean, really, it's not going to move the fucking market. Who gives a shit? Why are you spending 20 minutes on it? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? It's not going to move the market. Talk about something else. So anyway, I guess they're out of things to talk about over there. But all right, so let's look at the futures. Number of levels up here that we have marked. I don't know. Well, we haven't done anything. I did. I don't know if you did too. Always like to use we because then you sound like a selfish douchebag, right? When you just say I. But we have some stuff marked up here. We still have 45.39, getting real close to that. It almost aligns with an R2. We did go through R2 this morning. Here's R2 right here at about a 45.36. And another one up here at 45.45. This one's been up here all week, and we have not been able to breach that. And then above that is kind of the big kahuna in my point of view. And it's not just me. I think if you actually go out and look at a lot of technicals and a lot of wink wonks out there, 45.50 is a pretty significant technical level. You know, look, just from a publicity point of view, it is. It's just a number I'm seeing circulating out there. Take it for whatever it's worth. I mean, nobody has any insight more than anybody else. But at that point, but we've had it marked for a while now, and so we're going to be watching those levels for possible short setups. I mean, and all of these setups here, up here specifically, and let's get our pen tool because we have a pen tool. Unlike a lot of other tools out there who act like they know what they're doing, we actually really are posers and act like we know what we're doing, right? This whole spot up here has got a lot going on. See that? Like this would have no significance at all and nobody be paying attention unless I made this big blue line around here. And wow, right? Ooh. So what does it really all mean? You'd obviously know it's all bullshit because I call bullshit when it's bullshit. We're just going to be watching these levels and we're getting close to one here, 45.39. I kind of like this spot for a possible short here even before the numbers. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. And we may actually go short on there. Let me open my, I have to get my, I don't trade on this platform. So what I have to do is I actually use Winders. I use a virtual machine on here and I use Ninja Trader. I really want to use Motive Wave. I have actually used it quite a bit. Anybody following along, if you want to make a comment, I know I have comments turned off. I'm a douchebag. I'm just too lazy. I've actually tried to fix it. I just don't have the patience to go into Google and deal with their whole interface. It's really, I don't know if anybody's ever dealt with Google and YouTube. It's kind of a pain in the ass. Like I've disabled comments a number of times on the videos because I could really care less what anybody has to say. You want to call me an asshole? Go ahead. Makes you feel better. If it keeps you from beating your wife and your kids, go ahead. Take it out on me. I don't care. Everybody takes it. As Henry Hill said in the great movie, everybody takes a beating at some point or other, right? So might as well be now. But nonetheless, point being, that I use Ninja Trader and I want to use Modem Wave because it's actually more Mac friendly because I'm kind of a Mac guy. I kind of became a Mac guy when Mac moved over to the Intel platform, and you were able to use a terminal and had Linux and right. So that's why I became a Mac guy. Before that, if you were using a Mac, I think you were an idiot because there was really no benefit of it being on a Mac until that point. So anyway, needless to say, anyone out there who uses Modem Wave, got a review on it, I'd love to hear it. Because I really want to get off NinjaTrader because it is a piece of crap. It is a piece of crap, but it's what I have, and I paid for it many years ago like a dope, and is what it is, right? So anywho, we're going to be watching that level. I think you still keep an eye on that 45.39. I put this one up yesterday, so it's going to get alerted, and also the 45.45, which you've been dealing with all day. And I think it's kind of ironic. Irony can be pretty ironic sometimes. That the fact that, let's just pull this down. I don't think I can pull this down because of the pivots. The fact that everything's kind of like piling up here, and I find that usually, I'm getting a little excited because usually when stuff happens like this and you kind of been marking stuff out all week, and we have been doing that, and things start piling up in a certain area, it usually has all the makings for a pretty good trade setup. Because everything comes together, you've been patient, you're not trying to force anything all week, and I have not forced anything this week. I've actually been pretty proud of myself overall on the ES. Now, so that's kind of what's going on to the upside. I rambled quite a bit with like providing you no content whatsoever, so maybe that's why nobody follows me. But needless to say, that's kind of where we're at on the ES. And then as far as the downside, we're going to need a pretty big downside move. I would definitely just mark 4501 or 4500 or somewhere down here, only because it's kind of has a few characteristics. It's the big round number. And if there's any negative catalyst at all, I really don't see anything in the markets where a decent negative calculus, a catalyst to the downside really could rip this thing down pretty quick. Considering we're at 45.33, we could lose 33 handles pretty quick. And then that is S1 now becomes really important because I'm saying it is. No, because again, it's a big round number, and like the market, whether anybody likes to admit it or not, it is 2023, and the market still likes big round numbers. I mean, it's what it is. It's, it's kind of something that just happens. So I would definitely mark that today for a spot. Also, S2 to me is kind of the trade of the day if we were able to get any downward momentum on there on S2. To me, this is kind of like, I always want to say, this is the trade of the day. If we're able to get down and get enough momentum down here, this is really a trade. I think if you can ride it out, be patient, and mark this one, I think this one's gonna be the one. This is the one, man. This is the one. It's the one. It is the one. I mean, I don't know if it is the one, but I like it. Because it has a lot of characteristics that I normally like on a reversal trade. It's basically at the top of this gap that we have created from contract roll. So we kind of have that. It happens to be at a pivot point, and the pivot point happens to be in an area of the profile, and we get our pen tool here. An area of the profile that, where's my pen tool? My pen tool! Hide screen. What is this one? Arrow, rectangle. It's in an area of the profile that doesn't have much. You see, it's literally like it's non-existent on the 1 hour. So, and at least during this time frame. So, and again, the reason why that's the case is because of this contract roll. So, don't really have much in there. And these tend to be good areas of reversal because, again, if there's no interest, right? And I always talk about interest. I don't talk about, whether it's buy side, sell side. I'm just looking for interest because, look, if there's buy side volume, there's got to be as much buy side volume as there is sell side volume because for every buyer, there's got to be a seller. So, at some point they have to equal out. And so that's kind of what I see here. And that's kind of it on the ES. I kind of beat that one up. But those are the setups. And the interesting thing about the ES2 is that if we go out into a 4 hour and we kind of drill down, you'll start to see a pretty decent sell band up right where we have this mark. And we've had this mark here for a while. Let's see if I can move this. I don't think it likes to move it. It doesn't move it when there's stuff. Yeah, no, it was nice that they actually set it up so that the new update on here, you can move the chart down. But if you have other things on here, it does not work. It does not work. So anyway, needless to say, you can see that's why I have this marked. And this is actually the peak of the buying is right there. You can see that right here. But that would have to be a huge move, 45.84. That's a big move way up. And that would actually bring us up to the swing highs near from the summer. From the summer in the city. All right, so there you go. There's the ES, and then let's walk over into the Russell. I don't do the NASDAQ. I know a couple people have been asking, how come you don't do the NASDAQ? So the reason I don't do the NASDAQ, and we'll put it up. I'll put the chart up here just to keep myself honest too. The reason I don't do the NASDAQ, I believe it's too heavy. And as an index, if I'm going to trade the NASDAQ, I might as well just go trade one of the top 5 stocks in the NASDAQ. Why not just trade Apple or Microsoft or, any of them, NVIDIA, whatever. Why would I just go trade the NASDAQ? Because literally it's like 4 or 5 stocks that make up the entire index. And so go those stocks, so goes the NASDAQ. So why would I bother? They really need to re-index it. And I don't know how they do that, but that's why I don't trade it. And that's why I don't trade it. I like the Russell. ES, honestly, is a little weighted. It's a little overweighted in some of those in some of those stocks as well. It's not as much because there's 500 stocks in there, at least kind of weighing down the others. So, it is a little bit more of an equal index. And then the Russell I prefer the best, as I mentioned a million times, is the fact that there's 2,000 stocks and it's pretty decently weighted. Now, I think it's overweighted a bit in financials, and it's always been a little bit weighted in financials. But let's face it, most of those companies that are in this realm of income, right, whatever their revenue to get in the Russell, they're in the financial business. They're finances, they're smaller banks, they're regional banks, that type of thing. So, it is a little skewed toward that, but overall, out of all the index, it's the most weighted one out of the big 3. So that's why I trade what I trade. And again, with the Russell here, you kind of have the same sort of things going on. We've got a lot of marks that just haven't seemed to come to fruition. I really like this S1 down here. Did not breach it yesterday. I actually put that one in late yesterday. And as far as today, I'm going to say, 1903. We have a mark. I have one at 1907, which I think is probably a better setup because the reason for that is we kind of have a double high volume node situation going on here, right? There's a high volume node at a sell delta and a high volume node at a buy delta. Which one's stronger? I don't know. I always prefer to sell on the high volume node on the sell, right? It tends to be a little bit stronger. we could blow through this one pretty fast until it looks like the sellers got exhausted up here last time. So it may actually drift up here. So again, they're close, so it doesn't, I don't know if it really matters as much. More like this is a trigger point. The 1903 should be your trigger point, and then this should be your ultimate, like, hey, look, if it blows through there, you got a short there. And so that's kind of where I'm looking at on the Russell. We're not near there. I mean, we're at, what, 1889? We could easily get up there. You notice that the breadth is very, it's very tight. These ranges between R3 and S3 are pretty shallow, especially in the ES as well, right? Just because we really haven't had that much of a range these last few days or so. And that's really all I got to say about the Russell. So we have everything marked already, and there's really nothing else to do. And so with that being said, I'm going to move over to the crude oil, and it is nothing but, and I'm going to drill out. I'm going to go from 5 minute. Here I am. I'm going to drill out. This is today, and I'm going to just go from 5 minute to 1 hour to 4 hour. And this thing has just been an absolute beast. I mean, you can't get a more bullish chart than this. I mean, this is like trendline city. You can go nuts on here with, like, trendline, and actually would lay in perfect here, would be one of those Fibonacci arches. But again, I'm just being wonky at this point, but this is like so impressive that this thing just continues to just mystify, in my opinion. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. Now, as far as like setups, I don't know what to do. Like I mean, again, I said I'm not one to buy when I see something this strong and running this much. I cannot, I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm conditioned. I cannot buy something like this that is run like this on pullbacks and just buying into momentum the way a lot of people do. I just can't do it. I can't do it. My heart starts to jump out of my chest because I know I'm going to be wrong. And when I'm wrong, I'm going to get my face ripped off. Because again, the risk is to the upside here. Although it's been continuing to break out, that when this does decide to go and give it up, it's over. It's over. So again, I think the easiest trades have been short here, and it has not been easy. But we did have a couple of nice trades yesterday. I actually took a couple stop outs on some crude. I did take the one at 89. I forgot what it was. It went off in the Discord. It actually alerted. And I got a few ticks, but I got stopped out the first time I took it. And I took it again, and actually I made a little money. I didn't make that much. I made like $120 or something like that. It wasn't anything to shake a stick at, but it did work. But what do we do up here? I don't know. When you start drilling out, you got to go to a 4 hour. And you really have to go out to pull in, right? So now when we start pulling in stuff from last year, and you can see I have tons of alerts set here, all at mostly high volume nodes, and we're getting into these levels where, these are going to start going off. Now, this 91.78, 91.78, 93.38. Mark those. I think those are actually going to be really nice setups today, especially if we can get any momentum and get through this little bit of a volume hole here on the upside. Just go this way. And you can see I'm looking to sell this high volume node here. And then where this actually lines up, this is actually a point of control from back over the summer is where that came from. So that's where that line is from. And so I don't make these up. I don't just put these on here for the hell of it because I just feel like it. Usually there's a reason. Again, we're already blown. These are to the downside. Both of these have not gone off yet. We do have one developing right here at 89.14. You can move this down and focus in. We do have a small one here at 89.14. You can see a little bit here. There's also a little teat here, a little, it's not a lot. To me, this is like a true scalper's trade right here. So if you're looking to take this one at 89.07, disclaimer here would be this is one of those where you're going to do like a 6 or 8 tick stop. You're going to use like a 6 or 8 tick stop. You're going to put in, and you're only going to look for maybe 15 ticks tops and look to get in and out, the quick hitter. And I'm writing in here, quick bounce trade. There you go. It's just a quick bounce trade, and that's all that is. And you need to treat it as such. All right, and that's it. That's all I got to say about crude. Changing gears a little bit, let's move on over to natty gas. Natty gas, again, trying to make highs, couldn't do it. We have some levels up here on natty gas. I mentioned the $3 mark. I definitely think we get up there before the end of the month. Natty gas looks like, to me, it's really ready to just kind of explode to the upside. Just seems to be a lot of momentum building in natural gas. And I think it's kind of a sleeper because I don't really hear anybody talking about it at all. And look, not everybody talks about natural gas anyway. It's not really the most popular trading vehicle, right? Because we all know, what I want to know is how come they don't come out with like a true micro natural gas? They should really come out with a true micro. They have the micros crude oil, which actually works out okay. It's not bad. It's actually a pretty decent micro product, the micro crude oil. Why not come? There is a micro. It's like a QNG, but it is garbage. It's so bad. I've traded it. It's so bad, and there's no volume in it. They really didn't create the what they're calling a micro natural gas. It was never really mirrored after the major contract, which is the difference between the micros they have now that the CME created for the commodities and the indexes are actually true derivatives of the main contract, which is what they should do. I'm really waiting for one to come out on natural gas, which I think would be great because I probably, I would probably definitely trade it. I'd probably get my ass kicked all over the place because I always get my ass kicked in natural gas. But hey, what the fuck, who cares? I got to lose money somehow, so it might as well be in natural gas. And, and it's American, man. It's American. Natural gas is American. So anyway, that's kind of all I got to say about natural gas. I think you really need to be buying on pullbacks. And as I said, what I'm doing with natty gas is I'm trying to be, really not much else you can do. I mean, I'm looking at this UNG. I have a bunch of this, and all I'm doing here is just a bunch of small little call spreads. I'm also considering this Boyle. I've also got this Boyle on my back, but this Boyle actually seems to be a pretty decent product. I've been watching it. I've traded it a little bit. It's not, and I kind of been on the fence about it for quite a while. And I think it's getting to a time where I might actually get into some of this Boyle. It's a Pro Shares. It's a Bloomberg Ultra Natural Gas. it is kind of a derivative, but it does have some pretty decent liquidity. I mean, these open interest numbers are not terrific, but chances are most of this open interest in here is mostly retail. So that doesn't actually bother me. That actually makes me feel okay. And it does seem to be very liquid. Fairly liquid. I've been able to get in and out of stuff okay. I'm not going to say it's great, but you do seem to get a little bit better bang for your buck in here than the UNG. So you might want to consider the Boyle as well. So I'm looking at that one as well. So there's just a couple of suggestions for you for Natty Gage. And that kind of sums it up as far as the major commodities. Soybeans, still kind of a thorn in my side. I'm kind of waiting for this thing to kind of break out. I mean, all the fundamentals are there. We have droughts. There's issues with yield. Bwap, 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 bwap. It just seems to be endless kind of like talking points on why soybeans should be like $15 or $16, and they still continue to hover in this $13 range. Can't really seem to get out of their own way, right? We got swing lows here short term at 12 and 1280, 1290, and then swing highs up here near 1430, never really going where I would think they're going to go. And, it just really hasn't been good, man. It just hasn't been good. And it's just been nothing there. There really has not been much there. So one number I'm going to point out to you on my charts that I'm looking at is I am going to be willing to take an S2 today. So S2 is 1340 to 20. Not a huge move, but still pretty decent when it comes to soybeans. But I'm going to be looking to take a long there on soybeans. Just as a bounce trade, nothing extravagant. And so that's all I have to say about that. And that is an S2. And that's all there is to it. Okay? And so this has to be a lowercase c. And that is all I have to say about commodities. Do I do that right? Or is it? Commodities in general, there's not much else bonds have been bonds. I mean, they're going to continue to, as long as they keep talking about it, I don't really see them doing anything. And that's it. That's all I have to say about that. So let's take a look at some stocks. Now I did do Adobe. I thought their earnings were supposed to come out. I didn't see anything. I don't know. Maybe that's just not right. I think they were either supposed to come out last night or this morning. I haven't seen anything. I don't know. Who knows? I got a position on, so I did one of those. In this account, I did do the Iron Condor because this is not a big account, and I also did the Strangle. Now it turned out that the Strangle in my other larger account only had a margin requirement. Well, I should say, but I had a margin requirement about $9,000, so it wasn't like 40 like it showed in here. And that was just because capital. I have more capital in the other account. So if we were to go and look at watch lists here, let's go into the high option volume. There is a couple here with some juice. And I mentioned earlier we had Nike. And so basically, folks, what I do is here, Tasty Trade has this high option volume watch list, which is actually perfect. And it kind of like goes right into like my wheelhouse of what I normally look for. And then what I do is I just rank it by IVR, volatility rank. That's it. And then I'll go through and look for stocks that I feel comfortable doing anything with. But the fact is that a lot of the same garbage is on here, like Canopy and Nikola, all this crap. I mean, you can't do anything. Even though the IVR is high in here, what are you doing in here? You can't do anything with any of these stocks. Now, I know Spirit Airlines, there's been a lot of stuff circulating around about them. And there was some news yesterday about something. I briefly heard it. Honestly, I heard Spirit Airlines, and then I kind of tuned out. And then I know Bloomberg said something about it. I don't know if it was something to do with pilots or something. But, good IV rank here, but what are you going to do? You're not really selling calls in here on a $16 stock. Let's say you go out to November, right? Because October's not going to have shit in it. There's not going to be anything there. So let's say you decide to sell calls. I mean, are you going to sell a 20? I don't know. Maybe you do a 20. 15? What are you getting? I mean, margin there is kind of suck. I mean, buying power, they want to hit me for $1,400 on Spirit Airlines. Like, what? What? Like, what the hell is that all about? I don't get that. Let me make sure I got the right account. No, problem is I'm in my IRA account. That's why the margins suck. But even still, at $600, to me, that's even kind of suck on a $16 stock. So so let's say I do this trade, at a 63 IVR. I mean, overall, not horrible, not a horrible trade, not great. This one's probably a little bit better representative of it. You've got a pretty good band down here to about 13.5 to about 21.5. 60% pop, not optimal. No theta in this trade. Look at the theta. Theta's horrible. Now, the theta's probably horrible because I'm out in November. But let's see if I take this same trade and back it up. And let's do this real quick because I like having just the regular options because I don't really trade the weeklies. Maybe I should. On occasions, I will. I mean, so here's the same trade in October. You're only getting 80 cents and you're still at a 50% probability of profit. I mean, I see no good to come out of that. It's just not enough reward for the risk, in my opinion. So what do? Again, it's Spirit Airlines, $16. Maybe you do a covered call, and maybe you do one that's a little in the money. So maybe you sell the 15s and then buy the stock. That puts you at a $14.35 cost basis. You get called away at 15. What are you making? $70? You're making just as much as selling the strangle. And you're using just as much buying power. So reality is whether you do. Now, the nice thing about the covered call, though, which is a big difference from the strangle, is that your probability of profit here is 70% almost, as opposed to 59. So it's definitely a higher probability trade. Downside to this is that you're going to own the stock. You're going to have 100 shares. And that may not be that altogether bad, but because to me, if you sell the 17.5, I don't know if there's really that much benefit to having a cost basis of 1570. I don't know. Honestly, I'm just not. I'm trying to find something to do here. I see here. I like the fact that it's got this high IV rank, and so I feel like I have to do something. Let's look at a put ratio here in October. And nothing's got a bid. So we got to wait for these things to get bid. because it's before the market opens, so it's kind of suck. So we're really not getting any, so I can't even do that. So maybe we'll look at that one when the market opens. We'll look at Spirit Airlines. Walgreens, this one's been in the news quite a bit lately. They have earnings coming out next week, or next month, next week. I have not really looked at news. COVID shots, chains gear up. Now, I know there's a lot circulating around with Rite Aid. I know Rite Aid is actually fielding now some huge lawsuits for opioid addiction, and it's forcing them into Chapter 11. And I have to believe that if it's happening to Rite Aid, at some point, maybe that's what's kind of eating into a lot of these other ones like CVS and Walgreens. But this stock just really has not been good. It's been pretty bad. It's been pretty bad, WBA. It's, this in its heyday back when they were the shot Gestapo way back when. This thing was, it's 42. This thing I remember being in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. This thing was like way up there. Yeah, so as far back as I go, yeah, it was 60s or 70s. In fact, it's at 20 right now. Pretty interesting. I mean, I don't know if are they going anywhere? Have they really had a lot of problems? I don't know. I haven't followed the stock. The fact that what makes me interested, and I'm just looking through the news here to see if there is anything. Yeah, that's it right here. They appeal the $650 million opioid judgment, heads to Ohio. Yeah, so that's what it is. That's probably beating these stocks up. And so with that looming, but with a 56.1 IV rank, I feel like I have to do something in here. Tons of open interest. I don't think you really can do anything in here other than sell puts. You really can't. There's just not really, again, we'll have to probably wait till the market opens. Just another one I'm going to put on the watch list, right? So we got Spirit and we got WBA. This one to me is one where if you're going to do this based on where the IV rank is, don't buy the stock. Go sell some puts. And don't just sell any puts. Go sell puts that are like a stock replacement. So if I was going to sell puts, I would probably sell the 25s. And why? Because I'm getting a 90 delta, which is almost equal to buying 100 shares of stock. So for every move this makes, obviously, if it goes down, I'm rocked. But, needless to say, at 25, if I get assigned at 25, my cost basis is 21 and change. 21, about where the stock price is now. So it's just as good as buying the stock, and I don't have to use as much money. Because if it bought 100 shares, it's going to cost me $2,100. If I sell the put, it only is going to cost me $400 worth of buying power, right? So you can see why the benefit of options here and selling. So that's what I would do. If I was actually looking to do this, that's I need to look at that a little bit more, but that is actually probably not a bad trade. I'm actually going to mock that down, and I would if I can. I can't find my fucking Apple Pencil. That's another thing that Apple needs to do. They need to because for stupid old senile fucks at my age who lose their shit every fucking moment of the day, like I need like a tracking device on everything. I think I need a tracking device on my head because I think I would probably leave that in a room if it wasn't connected. But that's kind of a good trade. I kind of like that, selling the 25 puts here. Right. Yeah, I kind of like that. So there's one for you. I definitely like that one. Now, obviously, you have to see where this one opens, but that's not a bad trade. Again, and you're selling the put as if you're trading the stock. So don't think of this like, oh, I'm going to sell the put, and then you're going to be stuck with it. You got to treat it just as if you bought 100 shares. You sell the put. You put most platforms you can't really put a stop, but maybe you put a psychological price on it, and say, look, if it goes down 50 cents, 75 cents from where I get it, I'm getting out. That's it. Have a nice day. Unless you want to own the stock at 25. And that's it. That's how you play that one. Right? And then if you want to look at it on the curve, just to make argument's sake, you could see your cost basis is pretty much right around where it is with a sale of a 25 put. And again, the most important thing about that trade is that you are at a 90 delta, so you are really getting some juice, really getting bang for your buck there. Let's go down the list. Tilray. Fucking garbage. Another garbage space. Oh my God. I can't believe this thing hasn't even just gotten delisted yet. Piece of crap. Dollar General. I think they got a dividend coming up. Big deal. Dollar General. This thing is not, I don't think this gets a very good liquidity rating at all. In fact, let's see what's scheduled to participate in Goldman Sachs. Gives a shit. Who gives a shit? Yeah, this doesn't have really a very good, it doesn't really have a good volatility. This has never been very liquid, Dollar General. Although it has been a pretty decent stock to trade. I mean, volatility wise, not bad, not great. But I'm really not getting much juice in here, though. Not getting much juice at all. Let's go down the list. And then I'm pretty much going to stop when I get to the bottom here. Foot Locker. I don't know. You think Foot Locker goes out of business? I don't know. Or they get bought. I think it's more of a buyout play. Right? Because who the hell is going to Foot Locker? Who buys shit at Foot Locker? I haven't been in a Foot Locker in freaking, can't even tell you. I mean, if I go anywhere, I go to DSW or I buy shit online. I don't even go to Foot Locker. So do people even buy shit at Foot Locker? I don't know. I mean, what do I know? This is another stock that was in the hundreds, like $20 now. Yeah, I don't know if it's worth it. To me, it's kind of a piece of shit. We said I was going to look at Nike. And Nike's kind of liquid. Not terrifically liquid, but it is kind of liquid. It's got a 5-star liquidity. I don't know if that might be a stretch, but it is kind of liquid. They have earnings coming out the end of the month. There's not really, for a $90 stock, there really is not a lot of juice down here. And there's really not a lot of juice outside of the range at all. So these kind of suck. That's why I said it's slim pickings, man. It's slim pickings. Blink, this thing's a piece of garbage. I actually have to say, I done okay in this one. I kind of caught this to the upside when it was going well, and I caught it to the downside when they were shitting the bed, and I kind of haven't looked at it, and it hasn't been on the radar for a long time, and a lot of these EV plays have just totally just gotten devastated, which, again, is the same thing that's going to happen to AI at some point. They're all going to get rocked, and then get down the list, and it's a suck job after that, dude. Really, folks, dude, it's really a suck ass. Everything sucks at that point. And then if we look at what's changed over the last 5 days, they're really the only one that's really gotten juiced in the last 5 days is Spirit Airlines. Outside of this, these 5% moves just don't move me, man. And that's it. And then, it's all this cannabis stuff too. Is when is that going to be over? Like, let's just stick a fork in those now. So that's it. That's all I got. I think I went way over my time. 45 minutes today. Sorry. I wish I had more trades. So the takeaways here today for the market went over the futures. But as far as stocks today, I'm going to look at doing something in Spirit and Walgreens. They're really the only two that I kind of see that are really worth even playing. I mean, nice thing is they're cheap, so the options are cheap, the stock's cheap. So we'll look at doing something in there today. I'll post it up if I do. And that's it. All right, so have a good one. We got numbers. Did the numbers come out yet? No, we got numbers in 10 minutes, so we'll see what happens. And good luck today, and I will be back tomorrow.